We are live. Thank you, everybody who's coming in. Give me a second while I get everything turned on. Hold on. We kind of getting situated. Mhm. Okay. Hello, everybody. We know we're live. We're just trying to get stuff situated. Give me a second. Un momento, por favor. There it is. All right. All right. That took a second. But we're here and we're live. Hope you all are having a great day. Hi, babe.
Hello, Latanya. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right.
I still get giggly when you look at me a certain way. You gotta be careful about that. You mess me up.
You have to forgive me if I don't look into the camera throughout the
Okay.
night. The Ravens game is on, so
Oh, yeah.
I'll be kind of looking at the Ravens games that we're talking. So I'm just letting you know. So you know,
Listen,
I don't care if you judge me. It won't hurt my
you are
feelings.
officially judged. Like,
It
for
won't hurt my
real.
feelings.
How you gonna do this and watch the Ravens game at the same time? That's not how that works.
Well, we gotta find out.
That, that is not how that works.
It's okay.
You're supposed to be here. You're
I
supposed
am
to be
here.
present.
I am present.
How you gonna be present and over there at the same time?
I'm gonna show you. How you doing?
Fine.
Hey, we have a very unique conversation. Well, I'll continue conversation that I had with a dear friend of mine's on Sunday.
Maybe look at Instagram.
Oh, sorry, Instagram, the gram. As I was saying, a continuing
Hey,
conversation that I
Lori.
had with uh, a dear friend of mine's after while we was having dinner.
We weren't having dinner.
It wasn't. It
No.
wasn't dinner. Wow, it was dinner for me because I didn't eat nothing else after that.
Oh, no,
Oh,
no, no. Okay, so you're talking about
was that
with our friends
right?
here. I thought you were talking about with our friends overseas.
No,
Because
not that
that's
conversation.
yeah.
No,
No,
not
that
that
wasn't.
conversation. No,
That was a
no,
snack, but that wasn't.
no. Not our friends we was talking to. That's you know in another land.
In another land.
That's at this particular time. Yeah, they are. Anyway, so the conversation was based around um, the responsibility one has when it comes to their influence in said community, right? Um,
I know you said you didn't want to say the person's name, but can we say like the general? Like I'm not
I
even
mean, I
being
was going
funny.
to get to it. I
Oh,
was
okay,
kind of, just kind of, you know,
getting to it.
yeah, kind of lavering it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And kind of get to it.
Hi there, Facebook user.
Hey guys. Hey
Um,
everyone. What's up? What's up? What's
that's how
up?
you're coming up.
What's
So
up,
if you
y'all?
want to tell us your name so we can say hi to you, feel free to do so. If not, you know, hi Facebook user. It's no
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, yeah. So we got it. As I was saying, we got a good conversation. Want you guys to chime in.
Please do,
Please
because
chime in.
I think it's
It's gonna,
interesting.
yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, this is a continual conversation that I was having with a friend of mine's. That we both like sports. We both watch football. We both watch basketball. A little bit of baseball. But anyway, this is based around a particular athlete that shared um, a movie on his platform, and was criticized to the nth degree. Lost sponsors. Has been suspended for at least 5 games up to this point. And so the conversation was based around, was he right or was he wrong? And I'll tell you my stance. But do you wanna go in like
So-
detail about what it was that he sent?
Well,
Because I don't think that
I think-
that's not really important per se.
No, I think you gave enough context.
Okay.
I think most people know by now.
Yeah.
Who we're talking about,
Right.
Because
And what we're
this
talking
hasn't
about.
been, not discussed.
Right.
I mean, to smithereens, but
Right.
I thought that you brought up a really good point, and I wanted to share it with
What point?
everyone tonight. Oh, but before we get into that, and
Uh-huh.
we're going, I want also to say, sorry about last week. And we did not take last week off because we were celebrating Halloween. We took last week off because Jacob wouldn't go to sleep. So we told you guys this from the
Right.
beginning, that as long as Jacob lets us do this, we'll do it.
Mhm.
But when he's like, yeah, no, y'all ain't doing it,
Right.
we ain't doing it. So that's what happened last week. But anyway.
Yeah, so guys, please don't run away from this conversation. It's not what you think it is.
Right.
Trust
No,
me,
we're
it's
not-
not what you
it's
think
not-
it is.
it's not-
So
we're not
don't run
gonna
away
go
from this
down there.
conversation.
Yeah,
It's
we're not
going to be
gonna go down there.
a very healthy
Yeah.
conversation about maturity, responsibility,
Yeah, maturity and responsibility.
right?
Because
So
I think
don't-
you need to. I think you should say what
Right.
it was that you said.
I will, but I mean, do you want to share your perspective? Because the conversation started again. Do you think he was wrong, or you think he was right?
She said the leaves out so he'll go to sleep.
Well, actually, let me go back. So, the conversation.
But I don't think it's a matter of being right or wrong, right? I think as it pertains to the perspective that you brought to the table
Right.
about maturity and
Yeah,
growth,
but I was just explaining how the conversation came about. That's all.
Okay.
But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead, please,
Yeah,
because
but
I cut you
don't
off.
think that it's about, in this particular case, about right or wrong. Like we all have our opinions about whether or not it was right or wrong.
Mhm.
And I definitely have my opinion that it probably wasn't the most thought out thing to do. Like I don't think that
Depending on who you ask, yeah.
I don't think it was
Yeah.
wise.
Right.
And I think that there was reason for there to be blowback.
Mm-hmm.
And even, in our discussion, like, I think you also have to be prepared. Whatever you do,
Mm-hmm.
whatever decision you make, you have to be prepared to live with the consequences of that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, I think there has to be intention. Like, you need to intentionally slow down and think about the possible consequences
Mm-hmm.
of whatever decision you make. Because, yes, it's especially as it pertains to social media, so many of us live on social media, right? And represent ourselves a certain way on social media.
Some of y'all do.
So many.
Right. I agree. I'm just not one of those people, but go ahead.
No, you are not, but a lot of
Yeah,
people
I agree.
are.
I agree.
But,
I agree.
like, there are consequences associated with whatever decision you make. And so if you're going to make a move, post a video,
Mm-hmm.
post a post, you also need to be fully aware of the fact that you're going to have to deal with whatever the consequences are. And
Yes. Sorry.
this is going to happen.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Every
Stop.
time
Sorry.
The
Go ahead.
Ravens catch a ball.
Go ahead.
Okay. So last week we contended with Jacob, and this week I'm gonna have to contend with the Ravens. So everyone who is joining in with us via it, and you live in Baltimore, thank you. We appreciate it. But yeah, I just think that that's the thing, right? Like you have to consider the fact that whatever you post, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences associated with it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, cool. There's no disagreement on my end.
No.
Okay.
And the reason, hey James Jacobs, hey Tamara Hawkins, love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are talking about a particular. Tamara said she missed the beginning. What's the topic? So we're talking about a particular post that was made.
Come on, Lamar.
Earlier this week.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We're talking about a particular post that was made earlier this week by an athlete, and the consequences of that post were pretty steep.
Right.
The loss of at least 5 games.
I'm not saying whether it was I'm not saying what how they had him accountable was right or wrong. I mean, I do have an opinion about that, but that's really not the topic of conversation.
Right. No.
The conversation is really about being responsible and kind of what you touched on, like really thinking through how you want to be viewed through these platforms, right? Because when he reposted it and he was interviewed about it, what he said was, I don't believe everything that was in there. I'm just, giving information to my people, right? And, so a lot of people is on his side. They don't see the harm or, the danger in what he posted. And people are, saying, it's a public platform, free speech, yada, 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 yada. I don't want to get into that whole thing because that's not exactly the way people use that. It's not exactly what it means, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. So it was my argument my stance was, I'm not saying he's right and I'm not saying he's wrong, but what I am saying, what my stance was that when you have a level of influence, that comes with a level of responsibility. When you are a person that's in a spotlight, such as himself, that has like 2.1 million followers, something like that, right, and you put out certain information, that there's a level of accountability that comes with there's a level of accountability that comes with that, like, and the thing about it is, and I've never been in a situation like him, so I can't really speak from experience, but I can speak from the outside looking in and from literature, right? Oftentimes you get to a point where you just want to be a normal person, right? I'm just like you. I'm a normal person, and to some levels, they are normal people, but also they have a responsibility to have that. The level of influence that they have makes them part of society that separates them from everyone else, right? And oftentimes that may get missed in their process of understanding their stance in the community. And I think for me, he missed some of that, right? But also I was saying too, like from the time he was 20 up until now he's 30, he's been a professional athlete. He was treated a certain way, surrounded himself or surrounded by people that cater to him to make sure he was good, to make sure, he was shielded from a lot of experiences that we as normal people, quote unquote, have. So now he's 30. So in my opinion is that he has come to a place where he understands that he's more than just what he does. Mm-hmm. So now he's going down this journey of finding out who is he outside of what he does. And every person goes through that. I don't know as far as a woman, but I know I went through that journey where, I kind of like, okay, I work so hard, do this, that, and the other. And when certain things happen in what you do, and some of that's taken away from you, you kind of have this moment where you be like, wait a minute, this is what I do. This is not who I am. And who am I? Because I've been doing this for so long. I really don't have a sense of who I am because my time and my energy and how I've been educated myself was surrounded by this thing that I do.
Right.
So I believe like a large part of him, this journey that he's on, and these missteps that he's making by trying to discover who he is and not being able to do it privately,
right,
by choice,
right,
and by
force.
and by force.
Right.
That should, I believe, in my opinion, that should be the top of a conversation, rather telling him how wrong he is so publicly and so destructive. And that's just my opinion. And I listen to sports talk radio in different shows because I don't get to watch sports as much as I want to at this current season. But just the things that they saying about him, I think is just like, whew, like, man, like, where's the grace? Who's going to step back and say, you know what? Yeah, man, he some of his steps are wrong, but the man is 30 years old, right? And for men from a maturity level, and I've read many different articles, most men don't come into their full maturity until like 43. 43, right? 43, 32 for women. And I mean full maturity. I mean emotionally, But that's not I'm not saying that to make an excuse for poor decisions. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, all I'm saying is there should be a level of grace that should be given to men and women as we go through the process of discovering who we, at the end of our life, who we want to be, or how we desire to be known. Let me put it like that, because I'm fumbling my words, because we're always on this process of becoming, right? And we don't ever become until the end, because after that you can't do no more. Right. So at the end of your life, whatever you've done, however you conduct yourself, that's how you're going to be remembered. But during that process, we're going to make mistakes. And I just believe like there's this very small window of grace. And what I mean by that is either you for him or against him, but it's not many people saying, I don't agree with him, but I understand like we got to give him some grace, because, this man is trying to find out who he is outside of his family, outside of what he does, and to publicly do the things that they're doing to him, like quote unquote counseling him and taking away, funds that he can provide for his family because of a misstep. And we understand, like, when we do things, there are consequences, and unfortunately we don't get to dictate what those consequences are, but consequences outside of God comes through man. And how are you going to handle it? Like, to me, that's why I say I don't agree with everything he's did, but I also don't agree in how he's being punished as well. Yeah. So the topic is maturity. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I want to deal with some of the comments.
Yeah.
Elder Bernetta asked who we're talking about, because she came in late.
Okay.
We're not going to say his name because we don't want the video to get flagged. But it's a broad topic. It's a major topic right now anyway in sports. Can we say Can we say what sport it is?
Yeah, he played basketball.
Basketball. So
he played for the Brooklyn Nets, point guard.
Okay, so he played. He posted rather
a movie.
A movie,
right?
And the movie was deemed anti-Semitic, and so he's lost at least 5 games with pay. He's lost quite a few endorsements, and like James said, he's now dealing with the whole being canceled. So that's where we are on Bernetta. Lori said, I agree. I'm not saying he was wrong per se because he didn't create the video. However, he could have made a comment that he did or didn't agree. So I
Right.
can't get mad that the other group of people were offended
Correct.
because it came off as though he agreed. So
Mhm.
he can't get mad of the blowback he's dealing with now. And Lori, I agree with you. You sort of can't be mad about the blowback. You sort of can't be upset about the fact that you have to deal with consequences. But I also see where James is coming from because I definitely was not looking at it from that standpoint until
Mhm.
you said it. Until you said like, hey, there there is a level of there's a process, rather let me take the level out, there's a process that the vast majority of us go through in order to grow, mature, and come into a working knowledge of who we are that he's been shielded from.
Mhm.
And so that's really, I think, part of the question now. Like, how did you come to discover who you are? Like, what was the process you went through? And because I do think, and this is a legitimate question for all of you, like, what is the process you went through to discover who you are? Ravens just scored a touchdown, in case you're wondering why he's behaving this way. Um, this is going to be interesting. But anyway, Ravens just scored a touchdown, if you were wondering. But how did you discover? How did you come to find out who you are? Because I think when you said it, I immediately went, that's exactly what's happening.
Mhm. If you just listen to his word choice throughout this process, even before this happened, and you kind of just watch from afar. Again, I'm not there. I mean,
Right.
I'm only getting what he allows us to see.
Right.
To me, as a man watching another man and listen to what he's saying, I believe he's on this journey, right? And like a couple of years ago, like his unfortunately his mom passed away, and his mom, I think I can't remember exactly. Well, let me just say his mom um, has Indian heritage, so he went back to, you know, wherever whatever tribe she from, and sat with them and try to get the backstory behind that. You know what I mean? So and then we know what happened, the last couple of years with, the whole issue with,
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff. So, he was very pivotal about talking about that and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of times even through history, unfortunately, sometimes it takes some tragic moment or a issue that pushes you up push you up in a corner and forces you to ask the question, who am I? Right. And I think like over these past couple of years, that's what happened to him. It forced him in the corners for him to ask, who am I? But also I'm sorry, let me add this to it. He also recently got married. And he also recently had his first child.
Mm-hmm.
So those things, and those are good things. That's why, like I said, sometimes a bad moment, but also good moments as well.
Mm-hmm.
What happened that put you in a position where you ask yourself, who am I? Like for me, it wasn't a bad moment. It was a moment where I had my first son, where I was like, I held him and I was like, oh, I got to change my life. I got to get it together. Mm-hmm. And how do I want him to view me? You know what I mean? I had to, stop a lot of things I was doing and change my mindset and go through this journey of pulling myself together. You know what I mean? Like I was kicked out of high school. I had to, I had to really get it together. But anyway, that's another story.
But no, I think that is the story though, right? Like there was this jolt that made you go, I have to figure this. I have to figure this out. And like you said that he's figuring it out in public.
Right.
And that's the part that I think, especially for those who sort of live on social media, like I think that's the part that people lose sight of. It says, and again, I'm especially asking, right, those who have come to the conclusion, this is who I am. I know who I am.
Mhm.
How did you figure that out? What was your process? How did you come to the place where you said, this is who I am? Because I think so many times people are living all of this out in public,
Mhm.
and it presents a certain pressure
Mhm.
that wouldn't have been there had they been able to simply
Become. Mhm.
and discover this stuff privately,
Mhm.
right?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Everything has, has to be posted.
Mhm.
Everything has to be commented on. Everything has to be seen. And I also get, right, that that's his page, and he was going
Right.
through
Public space, right?
going through this transition or
Mhm.
this process of discovery,
Mhm.
and he's going through it on his own, and processing through it, and other people get this opportunity to do that, quote unquote,
Mhm.
on their page and
Right.
evolve
Right.
in the process. But he is this quote unquote public figure.
No, ain't no quote unquote. He is.
But is he?
Yes, he is. He is. He's very famous.
I understand that he's famous, but is he a public figure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the amount of money you make, the responsibility you have, who you represent, the brand you represent, it puts you in a public space. Now, to be honest, anyone that has a social media page, you are on public space. Period. The impact comes from how many followers you have. The less followers you have, the lesser your impact. So that comes with a level of responsibility.
Lori came from me. She said, "Yes, sis, he is. He's box office." Okay. Yes, ma'am.
That comes with a level of responsibility, and those who are defending him are not considering that. They just said, well, it's his page, he has a right to say what he want to say, and he can do whatever he want to do, and da 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 da. And I get that. That's not my argument. My argument is that when we as people have a following, we have a responsibility to that following as well. If we care, let me say it like that. If we care, let me say it like that. If we care, because
then that begs the question, why should he care? And then I want to deal with Lori's comment.
Should he care?
Yeah,
because we live in an age that information is at your fingertips, and we have come to discover that people put out misinformation. People put out information to cause issue, that cause division. So when you have that level of influence, you have a responsibility. If you care about those who are following you, if you care about
I see your comment.
certain people response to what you put out, if you care. And I'm putting that caveat out on that because we know that there are public figures that put out information and misinformation to stir up other people, to do harm to other people directly or indirectly. So that this, if you have 2 followers, you are responsible for the information you put out to those 2 followers. That's just again, that's my perspective. That's my view of it.
Do you
know what I mean?
Agree with that?
That's
if
my view of it.
Followers, you are responsible for the information that you put out to
Absolutely.
Those 2 followers.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say about it, but I'm also going to touch on Raquel, and I'm going to go up to Lori. Raquel will say, I'm late. Who and what are you talking about? So I'm going to recap real quick, and then I'm going to hit Lori's. There is an athlete, a basketball player, who posted an anti-Semitic video. The video movie reposted an anti-Semitic.
That's the link to the movie.
Okay.
Or the movie. Okay. I just want to be correct. That's all.
He reposted the link to the video, to an anti-Semitic video, and did not provide much context when asked about his thoughts about it. He was just like, I posted it.
I don't believe in everything. Everything is not true. I reposted
but
it.
I just posted it.
Yeah.
So,
and he said he take full responsibility
did.
for the
But he
for
said that
the.
after the fact.
Well, he said that after.
After
After he
after
apologized, like literally apologized after he got suspended.
for 5
But that
minutes.
apology was forced, right? So I'm not saying it again. When someone, I don't know, call it,
Wait a minute.
but let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there, because
right.
the point is, James brought, when we were discussing with some friends, he brought up this point that he's he when he was 20, from the age of 20 to now, from 20 to 30, he's been famous and basically surrounded by people, right?
People that take care of him. I don't want to say yes people.
Okay.
People that take care of him. In my opinion, he was shielded from a lot of things that us as regular quote unquote people have to deal with and have to face and draw some conclusion to, make some decisions about. And he didn't have to go through that process. You know what I mean? He didn't have to, up until now, have to really question who he is, right? Because what he did generated so much revenue and allow him to live such a life that his identity was all wrapped up into that.
So now he's at this place where it's the question. He's saying, he's at 30. His mom has passed. He just recently got married
years ago, when he was young. When he was young,
his mom passed. But now he's 30. He's just recently got married. He just recently had a daughter, and he's been on this journey of discovering who he is, of discovering who he is off of the basketball court. And so he's on this journey, but on this journey publicly, while the vast majority of us get to go through this process privately. And so the first question that I asked was,
or cause minimal harm. Put it like that.
Right. Yeah. Because we got 2 followers. it's 2 people watching. Right. And so what we post and as we discover ourselves, it's not that as much of a backlash,
right,
versus this man who has how many followers?
I think like 2 point something million. He has
a rack of followers who have all of these people following him and looking at him, and he gets to and he's going on this journey of discovery publicly.
Again, that's just my opinion.
That's your opinion.
Just following the storyline, following him as an athlete, right? That's as a man looking at another man, and again, just hearing the things that he has put out, and the things that his talking points over the last couple of years. I just believe he's at a place where he's coming to the grips that what he does is not who he is. And that was such a large part of his identity, is what he does. You know what I mean? And I mean, we all go through that. If you haven't gone through that, you will when you choose a particular career and you do it for so long. Your studies, your life, everything that you do surround this choice of work, and you come to a point where you be like, wait a minute, my identity is what I do. No, that's not.
That's not my identity.
It's who am I?
And then
right.
You have to
you know what I mean? Or right, you come into a situation where you act, a good thing or a bad thing happens, then push back you in the corner to ask yourself, who am I? Not what I do, but who am I?
And that became my question. Like, how did you discover, for those of you who are at that place where you have, how did you discover? And Crystal, I definitely want you to answer if you still want here, because I know you got an answer, but I'm going to come to Lori's answer in a second. How did you discover who you are? What did it take for you to come to the place where you were like, you know what I do, that's not me. This is who I am. And I've come to accept this about who I am, and I've come to appreciate this about who I am. And also, James is watching the Ravens game, in case you're wondering what just took place. But Lori said, I'm still finding myself now, but I'm not trying to hurt others because I found things that benefit me. In other words, if I realize things about my heritage and history, I shouldn't be so quick to look down on others because they don't know. In his process of finding himself, he condemned an entire race of people as though they are not worthy, like they had a choice of being born into the community they were born into.
Again, I don't want to go off script because it wasn't. The conversation is not necessarily about the movie itself. It is really based upon how do we make the best decisions as we go through the process of discovering ourselves. And like she touched on, not causing harm to others, not hurting. Yes, sir. Not hurting
we
others.
Not and this whole Ravens comment. Stop.
How do we, not hurt others in the process of becoming? And I'm with Lori because there's things that if someone asks me who am I, there's some things that I can say definitely about who I am as an individual, but I'm still on the journey of discovering myself. I don't want to box myself in and say this is who I am, because it puts a cap on my potential. It puts a cap on how I want to be viewed by the people that I interact with. So, but that's something, again, that's part of the maturity. That's part of just going on a journey of discovery, because a lot of times when you're young, such as myself, I used to say, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. You know what I mean? Like, deal with it. And you realize that is not a practical way to engage with other people, of saying this is who I am.
Is that where you got that? Okay, so like you say it all the time about like the process of evolving, and like you say it all the time, like even in our house, like you're not gonna box me, you're not gonna hold me here. Change is inevitable, change is necessary, change is demanded. Is that where that came from?
Yes, because so long I used to speak like that and act like that, and then people view me as such, and it took a lot of work to be seen the way I'm seen today, because I've been at my job for 20 years. You know what I mean? I was really like young and immature when I first working at my job, and back then, very much like today, I'm a hard worker, and very determined, very competitive, relentless. So these are characteristics that's never going to change about who I am. Yeah, I love that about myself, but also I had to learn how to, use these characteristics, these behaviors in such a way that it didn't offend others.
And that's
what I mean. And it took some maturity and some hard conversations from some mentors, and realize like, these things are good in how you use them. You know what I mean? So some of the people that have been working with me for period of time, some people still hold me to who I used to be in my 20s, and some people allow themselves to see who I am today, and also respect what I'm becoming as well, because I'm still going through that process, not just in my work performance, but how I educate myself and who I surround myself with, and how I speak and how I engage with people, so on and so on. So, those decisions that we make in our younger years, and when we utter certain statements out of our mouths, we tag ourselves. It's not necessarily the people that's doing it. We tag ourselves, because we tell people, this is who I am, this is how I want you to see me, this is how I want you to view me. And then we get upset when we realize, like, no, this is not who I am. Maybe this is who I was, or maybe I was so immature and didn't really realize what I was saying or what I was doing. So now I got to grow up and yada, yada. But you have continued to say certain statements to people, and they be like, well, they are not going to allow themselves to see you in a certain way, because we're not perfect. And some of those behaviors are part of our personalities, that we have to discover that personality and behaviors can be synonymous in how we live our lives. It can be, but you know, and this is why I was talking about grace with him. Like give him some grace. Like, don't kill him the way you killing him now. Like, hold him accountable. I'm not saying not to hold him accountable, but also teach him. You know, but also, you know,
but also remember that he's 30.
Yeah, he's 30 years old,
and his entire 20s were spent as, you know, an in demand.
I have a perfect example that you probably can relate to.
Let's hear Crystal first.
Yeah.
Crystal said, my mistakes have helped me, because we're talking about, like, how did you discover who you are? Crystal said her mistakes helped her discover herself. She recognizes that to whom much is given, much is required.
There you go. There you go.
Social media.
That's what I said.
To openly discover yourself. Amen. We are our brother's keeper, and we have to recognize the power of our words. I think that's
exactly what I said Sunday.
I think
too much is given, much is required.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like there is. I don't think that we recognize the power of our words, the power of what we say, and I think in alignment with what Lori said is that you're discovering, but not to the hurt of someone else. Like, take a pause. Yes, this is you, and yes, this is how you feel, but take a pause to consider, like, yes, this is me, but if I was on the receiving end of what I'm about to give,
sometimes that doesn't matter, because it depends on a person.
Well, that's valid.
Posture. But see, this but also, okay, let me say this real quick before I give the example. But this is what I've been kind of fighting back with some of the people that I coach, right? Is that yes, experience is a good teacher, but it's not the only resource.
I love what you said to one young man, and I don't. Is it scripture? Is it scripture?
What I said? No, it wasn't scripture. Oh no. The quote is scripture. It's in Proverbs.
So he said,
it is in Proverbs.
What did he say? A fool learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from someone else's. Yeah. Like, I loved it when you told him that. Then he went on to say, like, I dug the hole. I put the leaves over top of the hole. Why you think you can walk over the hole, walk on top of the leaves, when I can tell you exactly where the hole is? So don't, you know what I mean? Like, yes, have the experiences, but listen to some people.
Right.
Like,
but experience is not the only resource. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a danger to have your mindset, to have a mindset of the best way for me to learn is just from my experiences. Like, there's other resources that you can learn from to not make some of these missteps. And that's the thing that, you know, I've really been trying to tell the group of individuals that I, you know, do life coaching with. Like, you know, pick up a book. You know what I'm saying?
Read a book.
Pick up a book. You know, I instruct them to use all outlets. You know, TED Talks, podcasts, books, reading. You know, use all of these resources to help you navigate through some of the best decisions that, you know, you can make for your life. Because so often we just say, you know, experience is the best teacher, and just do it and find out what happened. Okay, that's cool, but what if something happened that it's going to, yes, you know, the cost, some mistakes are more costly than others. Intentionally or unintentionally, they cost a whole lot more. So anyway, so the example I was going to give related to the player was like, it's almost like growing up in church and you've been shielded from a lot of.
Don't come from my upbringing.
I'm not coming for your upbringing, but I'm just trying to make it relatable to you. Like, you was brought up in church, and you know, brought up a certain way, and then when you go to another church, right, and you experience this this other side of Christianity. Let me say it like that. This other side of Christianity, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what was all this? What's all this about? So you go through, discovering how they move, and you make some mistakes because, or what they deem to be mistakes because your upbringing said something totally different. So now you have to go through this journey of trying to not necessarily fit in, but try to understand how to move in this place.
Space. Yeah.
And you're discovering who you are in Christ at the same time.
Right.
Because who they said you are in Christ, you realize like, technically that's not completely true. That's like maybe like 20% true.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot more that I need to discover about myself. So I got to move a different way. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like, with you and preaching. You know what I'm saying? So
that's why
that's why I was saying, like, I have a perfect example.
I am not a singer. That is not what I was called to do. And what the way I grew up, like, you're a Sunday school teacher, or you sing in a choir, you're an usher. You can be a really good usher, but you can't preach. And so, coming to that place where I discovered I am indeed, I'm a preacher. Like, I'm a preacher's preacher. Man, I can't deny that. That meant I had to deny what I grew up knowing to be true. I'll never forget this. This is so I don't know if this is off topic or not, but it popped in my head, so I'm gonna say it, and then we can go back and we'll grab Crystal's comment. But I remember when I came home from school and I had been filled with the Holy Ghost, and I went to a church that didn't speak in tongues. And I remember going, oh my gosh, like I can't say I can't say like what's
I can't express what the Spirit is stirring up in the inside.
I can't do this.
I can't be
and
like
then I went like through this whole thing, like, am I in sin? What has transpired in my life? And then, like, are all of these people, are all of them wrong? And am I right, or am I wrong and they're right?
Take that example. Just imagine if you was a leader, a higher leader, assistant pastor, or something like that, and then you went over that pulpit and told them they was wrong because they don't speak in, you know what I mean? Because you know what I mean?
So you're saying that's the equivalent of what he did.
Sort of, kind of. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, this is not right. This is not what the Bible says. Da 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 da. But in that movie, if there was some wrong, there was some false statements, allegations, or whatever the case may be. But just imagine, if you would have done something like that. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of hurt, like, because saying certain things, as you guys mentioned, can really rock somebody's world.
Yeah,
because they can believe it's true because of who it's coming from. And that's the point I was trying to make, as far as, with him putting that, retweeting that movie, like the influence, how he's revered, how he's looked upon.
Right.
Like, we are, depending on who you are and what you do, mentorship is about close proximity. There's no arguing that. But also there's people you mentor that you may never talk to, never engage with, never have a relationship. Like, there's people that mentor me that they don't know me from a hill of beans, but they mentor me because of their posture. They mentor me because of how they conduct themselves, how they respond to things, how they allow me to experience how they move. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the part that that's the part of maturity that he has to come to. Like, regardless of what you want it to be, you have to understand what it is. And what it is that you are a person of influence. You are a person that has a platform that can really uplift or cause some damage. And not to trick yourself to believe that's not true, or say certain things. Oh, they're their own person. They can make their own mind, and this, that, and the other, to make a whole lot of excuses for behavior or something that you do that impact people's lives on a negative scale, I think that is, again, a lack of maturity. I think, I believe not having the right people around you to hold you accountable. Like, hey, man, sis, homie, you might want to pull that down. That ain't smart. That ain't good. I understand where you at, but this is something you should do privately. Matter of fact, like a couple of years ago, I wasn't mentoring this person, but this person had done something, and I reached out to them, and said, hey, you may not want to put that up. Like, we was, we friends. And I was like, man, you might want to put that, you don't want to put that up there. And this is why, da, 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 da. And the person took it down. Right. And I don't know if they thought it was wrong or not, but I think part of it is because they respect who I was and my position. But I believe you go back and ask that person, looking back, I'm pretty sure they was like, man, thank you. That was the right thing to do, because it wasn't a good look. It was not a good look. And I was like, homie, nah, you don't want to do that, bro. I understand how you feel right now. You don't want to do that, because that's a reflection on you, not the situation. And you just don't want to do that. And the same thing with Kyrie. Like, Kyrie, sorry. Oh well. It ain't like them though.
Right.
I
mean, no, but we were just trying to protect the video. Like, we're trying to make sure it doesn't get flagged.
Right.
So that's why we were trying to avoid saying names, so that we,
and that essentially also, that's what I'm saying.
Also, because we ain't paying nobody. so
just be responsible. Just consider who, because like some of us have young cousins and nieces and nephews that we're friends with on social media, and sometimes we forget that some of the stuff that we put up could cause damage, or send the wrong message. It's kind of like
I think one of the things that you pointed out about people mentoring you, and or the effect. Let me say they have an effect on you, and they don't even realize the degree of the effect and that you need to be responsible. When you said this, it kind of shook my whole world. You got two people following you, need to be responsible to those two people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I it was more along the lines of those two. If there's two people following me, those two people know me. They know when I'm tripping. And know when to dismiss it, but
no, they don't.
You're making a.
I'm married to you, and sometimes you say stuff with the thought that I understand exactly what you're saying, and I'd be like, "What?" And I do something, and I'd be like, "But that's what you said." You're like, "Well, that ain't what I meant." And I'm like, "But that's what you said." Like, "But you know me," and I'm like, "I knew you yesterday, but I don't know you today." That's kind of essentially what I'm saying. Like, today, yeah, you got the same face and the same beautiful smile, but I don't know where your mind is at. I don't know what happened yesterday that affect your decisions today. I don't know that. So, me, like, I'm, almost literally on a lot of things. Like, you got to tell me exactly what you want and what you're saying. Because
what do you mean?
I ain't reading on between the lines.
I'm not guessing.
I'm not doing
I'm not doing that. We're not gonna have.
I'm not gonna have no hermeneutic conversation with you. I'm just not going to do that.
Playing guessing games.
Right.
What do you mean? Right. Explain to me.
Right.
But I think that's really valid. Like, I think that's a really valid point. Is especially for those of us who. But see, here's the piece. I was about to say, especially for those of us
push back. I was saying push back. Are you pushing back on what I said?
No, I was getting ready to say, especially for those of us who know that people are following us or watching us, but you make the larger point that there are people following us and watching us, and people that we impact that we don't know we impact. That we have more say than we think we have.
Right.
And more influence than we think we have. And so, yes, you have the freedom to do whatever, to say whatever, to go about your business, to do whatever you want to do. But what would be the result if we all took a moment to think about the consequences
Mhm.
of if someone was taking what I'm saying seriously, using and attempting to use it in their lives. What would be the consequences of them hearing me say this in this moment? What will be the consequences of them experiencing me behaving like this in this moment and taking a larger role, a larger stance, a larger view of how we impact one another?
Right.
I think that's a really good. I mean, a real
This
good,
is
really
this is a
valuable
thought
point.
that
I
was
don't want to get crystal,
right.
but
This
go ahead.
thought that I had while you was talking, while you were speaking. I think, we as people need to learn how to have conversations privately, not so much publicly. We have this longing to be heard, but I think sometimes being heard should be done privately, not so much openly. Because right now, me, I'm not on social media. I have pages, but like all of them is pretty much deactivated. Like I'm just not on them because, first of all, Facebook get on my nerves. It gets on my nerves, and I'm just saying, I'm not saying the people. I'm just saying Facebook in itself gets on my nerves, and IG just drives me crazy.
I need you to think about
it drives and IG drives me crazy.
So
that's really crazy. But anyway, yes. But anyway, and this is my thing. Like everyone wants to be heard, right? But oftentimes, when we want to be heard, we don't really want the feedback. And what social media does is it puts us in a place to be judged, not necessarily get feedback. Like the feedback that we get is more on a judge end than true, honest feedback. That's why I'm saying like some of the conversations that we put on social media should be private conversations.
Fleshed out.
Yeah, it should be private, like, you know what I mean? And I think you will have you would be
Crystal said, reflection is your friend.
You will enjoy social media for what it's supposed to be, because social media really is supposed to be platforms of enjoyment, platforms of inspiration, platforms to inspire, right? But it's turned into counseling sessions. It's turned into like, let me show you what it's supposed to be. Da, 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 da. And I'm just saying, like, because a lot of people are getting damaged by it. Like when people respond, like people put stuff out there and they're just trying to create dialogue sometimes, and people cause harm. I mean, just because some people just trying to have dialogue. And that's why I'm saying, like, sometimes before we start putting our information out there, just kind of consider like how people may respond. And I'm not saying you don't have to, but I just think about the mental health, like the young people that I engage with, like they're trying to have fun, and people just cause so much harm. So it's really, all I'm saying is like really think about like the kind of what you said, like the feedback, the feedbacks you're going to get. Are you emotionally ready to handle that? The good and the bad and the ugly. Or if not, like maybe just send it to the people that you want it to be seen, not necessarily publicly. That's all I'm saying. I'm just because it's just so
Crystal said
harmful.
And if I respond strictly from my flesh, don't let your mouth interfere with your bag. Sometimes my flesh wanted to say something or do something, but it would have cost too much. Some sacrifices are not worth it. Reflection is our friend.
That's why I'm not on social media. That's exactly why.
Why?
Because certain things people say, pictures that they post, I get in my feelings. I'll be like, man, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting that up? Like, that ain't none of my business. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Right. And I believe that if you love someone, you hold them accountable to how they want to be seen. And that's part of my problem. And that's why I'm not on social media.
How you want to be seen.
Yes, that's why I'm not on social media.
That's an important.
That's why I'm not on. That's exactly why I'm not on social media. I'm on Twitter. That's about it.
Twitter is vicious though.
But I don't go on Twitter for Twitter to have dialogue. I really just go on there for news, honestly.
with its new owner.
Sports news.
I was about to say, with its
Not
new
political
owner,
news, not personal. It's strictly for sports. Strictly for
I
sports.
don't
That's
know
it.
if you're gonna be able to continue down that road.
Strictly for sports, nothing else. I am not entertained by every person I follow. Their content is typically, there's a few people that's not in sports world that I follow, but majority is strictly sports. Because I don't know. Social media is addictive, right? And I find my like Facebook and IG, like I go in there to see something, and I find myself on there for like 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. So it's not because it's all bad. It's just me. I just get consumed. I get consumed, and I just like, this is just not good for me. I just need to just deactivate everything.
And literally, that's it. Like last night, he was like, "I'm turning all this off." Y'all give folks. Well, make some space for yourself. I think that's the bottom. That's the big conclusion, right? Like make some space for yourself to reflect before you post, to think about how you want to be seen.
Yes. That's all I always tell people, or more so leaders, every engagement that you have with someone is the first impression. Every engagement, like today, when I leave out tomorrow morning, my last impression is my first impression with you, even though you know me. However, we dismiss from each other. That's going to be my last impression on you. So always, that's one thing that I say. And I always say, as leaders, what do you want people to say about you once you leave the room? You ought to conduct yourself accordingly.
That's good.
You ought to conduct yourself accordingly.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's what I tell leaders all the time.
So give yourself some space, but also give each other some space. Like what the fact that James brought up, that women mature at 32, fully mature. Most women fully mature at 32, while most men fully mature at 43. Like, okay, give yourself some space, but give other people some space. Realize that we're all in the process of becoming. Taking that moment to reflect. Yes, Ebony just posted on IG, like giving people space to come into this place of maturity, and understand and listen that you might not be there yet.
I mean, it's a process because, so I got a lot of statistics, right?
No.
I'm just saying, like at the age of 25 for male and females, the brains are fully developed, right? So this is where the discovery typically begins at 25. So, from 25 to full maturity, could you imagine how many mistakes that was made by people? I mean, I can be here for a week, if longer, for how many mistakes I made to come to a place of maturity in my life, and still there's areas I'm still growing in. So when you take that into consideration, like you said, give yourself some grace, give others grace, and make space for them to become the best version of themselves. Doesn't mean that you have to be mentally, physically, and spiritually battered. I had to tell one of my mentees, like, okay, I cannot be your emotional punching bag.
Right.
Like, some of this behavior has to stop.
Right.
And, I was like, and I coached them like, okay, we got 2 weeks to get this together. Or you got a month. Or I would ask like, well, how long do you need to work through this? Because I cannot continue to be an emotional punching bag. You know what I mean? But again, like you were saying, just grace, man. Like, society will punish people enough. You know what I mean? Or calmer, if you will.
And with that said, I think we need to really think about the whole idea around cancel culture. Like, should we be canceling people or should we be educating people?
Nobody can be canceled. You can take stuff away from people, but you can't cancel no one. Okay. You can punish people, but you can't cancel no one. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
We ain't got time to.
How do you cancel someone? I just want to know. Like, how do you like? You can take things away from them for them not to have as much impact as they had before, but you ain't cancel them. If you look up the definition of cancel,
Well, for
I mean,
example,
Mhm.
there are a couple of people, including the gentleman we're talking about tonight,
Mhm.
he's going to start experiencing what it feels like he's starting to experience what it feels like to be canceled.
Is that
Like
is that
losing-
being canceled, or is that the repercussions behind his choices?
Part of it is repercussions, but the other part of it, the loss of
Mhm.
um,
Revenue,
the loss of revenue, but
exposure.
exposure. Thank
Mhm.
you. That's the one I want. The loss of exposure.
Mhm.
That's the real. That's the cancellation.
Mhm.
Oh boy, who posted that man's wife? The picture of that man's wife.
Mhm.
He's been canceled. Like he has no. He only posted that to get back
Mhm.
the impact or the influence that he lost.
Yeah, but that was connected to what he did. That wasn't necessarily. Well, some of that was
Right, that's
his
my point.
behavior. Some of that was
Yeah.
behavior, but what he did was the consequences was your behavior. You got fired. Let's just say it like that. You got fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Okay, I I don't
And
know.
lost
I think
exposure.
there's a longer conversation about the whole cancel thing.
Okay.
I,
Maybe we'll talk about that another night.
Yeah.
Because it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
And we made it through without waking up our boo. Crystal said, I'm grateful that, wait a minute, sis.
But I think we need to have another.
Crystal
I think
said,
this needs to
I'm
go on
grateful
again.
that social media didn't exist when I was in my 20s.
Woo! Lord have mercy, tell the truth.
The internet was just becoming popular. Would you stop?
Ooh, let's go.
I couldn't bear to see my mistakes.
Lord have mercy. Jesus.
You are not
my God.
lying.
Lord have mercy. If I was
woo and total agreement with you.
My God.
And with that, let the church say,
I would be at the back of the church. You hear me? Elder who? What? Please.
Listen.
Whew. Lord have mercy.
Listen.
Just me and you, Lord. Just me and you.
Listen.
There are some things no one will ever know except just me and you, my Lord. My God.
Yeah. And we're going to leave that there.
Thank God don't gossip. I'm just saying.
Thank God don't gossip. Come on here.
I'm just saying.
Come on here. Thank God don't gossip. Yes. All right, Saints. We good. It's 10 o'clock. Thank you so much.
One day I'm going to go to somebody. I'm like, the Lord told me to tell you because he was talking about you.
No, don't do that.
If somebody come up to you and say, the Lord told me to tell you, that means the Lord was gossiping about you. Did you know that? That's not what that means. That's what it sounds like. You don't think that sounds like? The Lord told me to tell you.
He's spreading your business. He just told me.
Wait, man. He told one person?
No. He told me to tell you something. He didn't.
That means he's gossiping.
He didn't necessally tell.
What if I come to you and said, the Lord told me to tell you, and I start speaking in tongues?
Shut up. Stop.
What that mean?
James just being.
I'm just saying.
James is being real extra right
now. No, the reason why I'm saying that because now I need someone to interpret the tongue. So now there's another party.
Hush.
So I'm saying now it becomes a gossip, right?
Talking.
No, I'm just asking. The Lord be gossiping on y'all. I'm just letting y'all know.
Be quiet.
He be telling y'all business
y'all,
to people.
It's 10 o'clock.
He be telling y'all business.
He getting delirious.
The Lord, Jesus stopped gossiping. That's why he was silent from the age 12 James, up until 33.
Don't have the Lord looking
at
my house crazy.
First of all, God has a sense of humor. And we need to make sure we understand that God has a sense of humor. If he didn't have a sense of humor, why did he put Job through? He put Job through. Not mine. Anyway, stop. Nah, never mind. That's why I'm not a stand-up comedian. I tried. But
thank you all so much. Leslie is cracking up at you. I don't understand what's happening right now. It's okay.
Because they know it's true.
James.
What? They know the Lord be gossiping. They know. They know the Lord be talking about people. If God didn't talk about people, why do we have the Bible? I'm just saying. Let me know. Isn't the Bible about stories? I'm just saying, isn't it? Is
Please
it not?
stop.
Is it not?
Please stop.
So what's gossiping? Tell me what's
Stop.
gossiping. Telling people
Stop.
business.
Stop.
So did the Holy Spirit,
with malicious intent.
I'm just saying.
The Lord
people-
did not have malicious intent.
Look,
Can we end this?
I'm just saying.
Y'all,
The
thank you
hearer
so
of the
much
information
for hanging out with
determined
us
whether it was
tonight.
malicious or not.
Can we?
So do we not know there was two
Babe,
different
can we
Bibles?
end this?
Do we know there was a slave Bible? We know that, right?
Can we end this?
I'm just saying.
Can we end
The Lord be
this?
gossiping. Y'all know it's true. He made people tell that business. Gossiping. Look, gossiping Jesus. Stop. All right.
You need to repent.
Let me stop.
You need to repent.
God knows. He
You
knows.
need to repent.
How y'all say in the church? God knows my heart. Y'all better leave gossiping Jesus alone. He gonna tell me about y'all business. Next Monday we gonna have
James,
we're gonna,
would you
we're gonna,
please?
we're gonna have a session. The topic will be Jesus told me. Jesus told me it's gonna be the topic.
So y'all
All right.
can tell which one of us was raised in the church, right?
Ooh.
Clearly, it's me. This
Jesus.
thing is a heathen.
Ah.
Oh, heathen. We're
Jesus.
going now.
Jesus be gossiping.
Stop.
That's so funny.
Can we go now?
Yes.
Can we
All right,
go
guys.
now?
Thank y'all so much, man. We appreciate it. I hope we did this conversation justice. I felt like it was fun. It was a
It was fun.
It was a
It was a
good
good
topic.
conversation.
I hope it helps someone, it bless someone, and I challenge and ask you guys to continue this conversation with your loved ones, with your coworkers. Just talk about grace and social media and the mistakes and
And giving people
poor
space.
judgment and all that kind of stuff.
Giving
Continue that
people
conversation
space,
because
yeah.
the more we talk about things, the more complex we can be in our way of thinking and be forgiven in our actions as well. Because the more we know, the more we understand. And as they say, when you know better, you do better.
You do better.
Right. So let's love on each other.
Love you guys.
Love you
Thanks for
guys.
hanging out with us
Appreciate y'all,
tonight,
man. See y'all
and
next
we will
Monday.
See you next Monday.
Oh, real quick. I don't know we're a couple of weeks away, but I just want to wish you a happy anniversary, baby.
I love you.
You can have whatever you want. So I don't know what you want, but like I always do, just go on. Go on. Anyway, happy anniversary. I love you, sweetheart.
I love you too.
And my anniversary is on a Monday, isn't it?
Oh, if our anniversary is on
I
Monday,
think it's
we
on.
won't be
I think it's on a
that day.
Monday.
Matter of fact, I need a babysitter, so let me know.
I think it's on a
If
Monday.
you're
Let me
available.
see. Anyway, we need to get up off of here
All
because
right,
it's.
y'all. Good night. Love you.
Oh, it's not. It's not. Oh, it's actually on a Friday. All right, guys.
Still need a
We
babysitter.
out. Peace.
All right. See
Hope
you
you
guys.
have fun. We had fun.
Bye.
Until next time. Go Ravens.
Hush.